Apparently, the coronavirus is sexist from the sounds of this insider article. 2020 was supposed to be the year that women ruled the box office, and then the coronavirus pandemic happened. So I don't think that every film studio this year wanted to release a female-focused film. I'm just kidding, that's a lie. Everyone wants to be the person or the studio to release a female-focused film or show because they want to be able to market it as a diverse film or a film where women can kick ass better than men. And this obviously is not a new trend in Hollywood, but it is a trend that is here to stay. And before I read this article, I just want to let you all know my thoughts and opinions. I obviously like females. I'm not anti-female. I am a female, and every time I see a studio trying to put out a movie with a female lead just because they think it will sell, I feel a little bit annoyed, because while I do like watching movies with female leads, it is not the only content that I want to see. Before the World Health Crisis, women were going to rule Hollywood and the box office in 2020. After a record-setting year at the box office in 2019, led by Avengers Endgame, The Lion King remake, Frozen 2, and a Spider-Man sequel, the 2020 lineup of movies meant it was going to be a huge year for women on screen. I just want to say this isn't the first year that has been huge for women on screen. Did they forget the times when movies like Aliens were coming out? Did we just forget all of those strong females in those female-led movies? Maybe? Okay. The year that kicked off with Warner Brothers' Birds of Prey and Universal's surprise hit, The Invisible Man, starring Elizabeth Moss, was just the start of a female-heavy presence at the box office. So we had Underwater, released in January. This movie was pretty terrible. I feel like no one liked it. It was a very mediocre film, definitely not a way to start off 2020. And then you had Birds of Prey in February. Again, another movie that maybe was not the best start to the year. If you were trying to lead the year with films like Underwater, Birds of Prey, and The Invisible Man, well, your plans probably wouldn't have worked anyway because these were very mediocre films that just weren't very unique. And then, of course, we were supposed to have A Quiet Place Part 2, a movie that was very anticipated, Mulan, a movie that was supposed to be censored and changed very heavily for specific parties involved, New Mutants, that has been delayed, 4 times, so I doubt anyone was getting that excitement ready for it anyway. Black Widow, a movie people are excited for. Wonder Woman 1984, personally my movie of the year that I'm the most excited for. The Eternals, we have no information on it. Halloween Kills, very little information on it. Now, movies are pushed back and some are delayed until next year. A Quiet Place is coming out at the end of 2020, Mulan, we have Black Widow, Wonder Woman, and then The Eternals, which was moved to 2021. And then, of course, it does say, why this blow hurts. It took years to get so many female-led movies to screen with female writers and directors, and now many of these movies will be released within weeks of one another, ultimately leading to their 1 versus 1 battles in the box office. Wonder Woman accounted for 12% of directors of the top 100 grossing movies of 2019, according to a study on the employment of women in the top 100, 250, and 500 films in 2019. Now, when it comes to women in lead roles, a 2020 USC Annenberg study on inequality across gender and race found that 43 of the 100 highest grossing movies of 2019 featured a female lead or co-lead. Okay, why did it take so long to see an increase in female-led movies both in front of and behind the camera? Well, in part, it took years to justify why female-led films and female lead superhero movies were bankable in Hollywood after flops like Catwoman and Elektra. Studios couldn't seem to fathom that audiences wanted something beyond the male gaze of popular female characters characters under a thinly veiled plot. Of course, people want a good plot. Yes, sometimes there are movies that are mainly focused around the male gaze, as we'll call it, because that's what other types of people like to call it. But most people don't go to a movie and pay $10 to watch a movie with sexy females. They go for the plot, to actually watch something good. All, again, that we're seeing here is these people complaining about the fact that these films will now have to be forced to open within a packed schedule and compete with each other. Movies that were set to be sprawled out across an entire year will, in many cases, be released within a few weeks of one another, and their box office opportunity will shrink along with it. Many of these movies won't be able to compete against each other, but will be competing for eyeballs and money against other new releases that were already set for fall and for next year. And then it says, assuming the current release schedule remains the same, we have Tenet, Mulan, Wonder Woman 1984, A Quiet Place Part 2, Black Widow, Godzilla. Can't these people just be happy that all of these movies are going to eventually come out? I know that they are not going to be coming out, within the span of a year, but they will either eventually be in theaters, or they will go to online for streaming, or you will be able to buy them on DVD. It's not like these movies are going to be buried in a sea and we're never going to see them. We are going to see these movies. Everything is struggling right now, not just female-led movies. The whole industry is falling apart, and so many industries are hurting and are just kind of falling apart right now. I mean, we saw very few of these movies come out at the start of 2020, but none of them really succeeded. Maybe it's because they weren't good and we shouldn't blame it on 2020. I don't remember anyone avoiding theaters at the very beginning of the year until states slowly started the lockdown phase. People were still going to the movies, people were still buying tickets, and they say, oh, the first films of 2020 flopped, even though they were female-led because of this virus, yet people were still going to the movies until the very last minute when they said they could not. But let everyone know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Do you think that these films are going to fail now because they are going to be forced to compete with each other? Do you think that this is a woman-focused problem in the industry? Or do you have common sense and see that this is Hollywood in general that is kind of falling apart? If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a like, and of course if you did not, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, and I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.